Today we're going to be reviewing all of the analysts that cover Palantir stock, looking at their success rates through TipRanks, and seeing what they're saying about the future of Palantir stock. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's go. So this is Palantir's investor relations page where they keep track of all of their analyst coverage. We're going to dig into all of these. But first, I know a lot of people like to stay up to date with the institutional holdings, and right now we're sitting at, on Bloomberg, percentage of shares held at around 37%, relatively flat from the last update there. But now moving on, here we are on TipRanks, which I subscribed just for this episode. We have 10 ratings, 2 buys, 5 holds, and 3 sells with an average price target of 11.28. But if we switch to top analysts, we get a $12 price target. And over the next 12 months, a high of 16, an average of 12, and a low of 7. I consider this a pretty fair range given the probability of distributions going forward. We know there's not going to be very much easy going in the market as you would expect over the next 3 to 6 months. We'll see where the next 12 months take us. But here are the analyst forecasts. We'll be getting into that in just a moment. I just wanted to bring up this graph before we dive in because I find this fairly interesting. It's the insider trading activity. Now, these big bars right here are insider sells, and the most we had was 14 sell transactions back in November and back in July. And we've seen this really cool off since last year, basically, with most recently in April, some sells of 5 insider transactions. But it doesn't look like anything recorded for May. And even if you just look back at these, we know the insiders are selling because when they exercise options, they have to pay tax on that recognized income. Therefore, they have to sell additional stock to pay and cover that tax. When they sell stock, they generate even more of a tax liability. So honestly, it's pretty good to see Palantir heading into its second year as a public company. The insider selling is starting to dwindle off. And one more thing I wanted to touch on, this is Palantir stock investors. Through TipRanks, Palantir is in 500,000 portfolios. That takes up 6% of all portfolios. But the top investors, the top 100,000 portfolios, have a 12% ranking of Palantir. Honestly, doesn't mean that much, but I figure it's an interesting statistic to share. Okay, here we go with the first analyst, Alex Zukin of Wolf Research. His success rate is 66% overall with an average return of 26% over a 1-year period on his recommendation. So he's definitely towards the top. Unfortunately, he's not giving us too much here in regards to Palantir just saying hold. His initial initiation back in October of 2020. So he's been with the stock for a while, just saying hold, not really giving us too much in terms of a recommendation. But his price target is $10.50, which is 17% upside. This guy is ranked 35 of all analysts on TipRanks out of almost 8,000. That's huge. And now we've got Weston Twigg of Piper Sandler coming in at 36. A remarkable rating. Let's see what he has to say. 73% success rate. That's incredible. An average of 30% average return. And let's scroll down and see what he's saying about Palantir. Okay, so initiated fairly recently with a $14 price target, 60% upside, and that was just back on March of 2022. So not much history here, but if history is any guide for this analyst, he has been right very much so in the past. So while his average profit right now is a negative 10%, I would not be surprised to see when Palantir turns around, this actually falls in his win category. Of course, his target is for 12 months, not for 12 minutes. Now we have Tyler Rad, got 4 stars, pretty good. Citigroup, average success rate of 46%, so falling under that 50%. Average return of about 6.7%, so you consider he's tracking the market fairly well in terms of his recommendations. But on Palantir, it looks like he has been fairly accurate, initiating with a hold and then holding again, but getting towards the top here, seeing some sell ratings, and these have actually been fairly accurate in terms of their profitability percentage. He still has a hold on the stock with a 7% price target, has been right about 42% profit on the stock, 88% of the time, and most of that success, I am presuming, has come more recently from the fall in the stock, as we have seen in the last year or so. Interesting that he holds a sell rating. He's maintained it, 11 ratings. We've yet to see a buy from him, but he has been fairly accurate. Next up for Brad Zelnick, we've got him at number 82 out of 8,000 analysts. Another very accurate analyst from Deutsche Bank. We've got a 70% success rate, a 17% return. Let's take a look at what he's saying for Palantir. Okay, Similar type of deal, hold on the initiation and then sell at some of these higher peak levels. Very level-headed in terms of that analysis, it seems, at least in the recommendation. And then we see more time go on, see Palantir grow much more, and they're improving their financials. Initiates a hold and another hold. We see the stock start to fall down. He's still saying hold. He's not saying buy. He's saying hold, so he has some confidence, but not enough to actually put out a buy rating. So let's take a look at his average profit, about -2%, so fairly flat, and he also holds and maintains an $11 price target. Now we got Keith of Morgan Stanley, number 240 out of the Analysts, still very strong, 62% success rate, plus 15% in terms of an average return. And here we go, let's take a look. He actually initiated with a buy at $9.95, then switched to a hold, and then sell, almost through all of the year in 2021, continued that into 2022, and now he's saying to hold. So he has a $13 price target that he has revised and has now maintained. His profitability is very strong on Palantir stock, a success rate of almost 90%, average profit of almost 40%. So for him to be switching from a sell rating when the stock was at $11 to now holding it at, let's say, $7, $8, $9 with a target of 13, which is 45% upside, this is definitely interesting to see. If we zoom in here, we could take a better look. It seems that coming out of last earnings, he put on a sell. Maybe coming out of this earnings, we're looking at more of a hold this time with potentially more upside, but that has yet to be realized. So another very strong analyst in terms of success on Palantir. We'll have to see how this plays out. Now we got Philip Winslow of Credit Suisse, number 356 of all analysts, another 5-star analyst here. Success rate of 66%, average return of 11%, beating the market. So he's fairly new to the Palantir game, at least when it comes to giving a recommendation. Hold, no profit or loss on the stock that he hasn't actually given a rating. It's just more of a hold at this point. $12 price target. We'll have to see how this plays out. But once again, a very good analyst if you look at his success over time. Now we've got Brian White, number 479 out of the 8,000 analysts, 58% success rate, average 12% annual return. Not bad. He is also very new to the Palantir game, at least when it comes to giving a rating. And we saw a buy at around $12, another buy at around $7, and negative 5% return so far. He holds a $16 price target for the next 12 months, which is a staggering 79% upside from where we stand. All right, I got a couple more for you here. We've got our RBC Capital analyst, about 3 stars, heading into that 4th star, 2,900 of the 8,000, so definitely not the best that we've seen so far. A 44% success rate, average 2.6% return, so not the best. Let's take a look at what he's been saying about Palantir. He is the lowest, with the lowest rating on Palantir of $6, which would be another third downside. Said hold back at 25, said sell at 24, sell at 11, sell at 11, hold at 13, and a sell at 7, sell at 8. Not the best calls right there, but credit where it's due, at least in the short term on the downside there. His success rate has been 1 out of 3 ratings officially were profitable, average return about 6%. So it seems like this is not the best analyst we've seen so far. Does have a $6 price target. Seems less probable this is to occur given his profitability and his success compared to some of the more established and stronger analysts in terms of their success rate. We got a William Blair analyst, really not looking too good in terms of the stars, really at the bottom rank here, doesn't even have a picture that we can look at. 29% success rate, average negative 14% return. Definitely the worst we've seen so far, but let's have a look at what they're saying about Palantir. A sell and no price target, has reiterated this for the longest time. Hold at 26, hold at 36, and then sell. So 100% success in terms of saying sell, which is what you get coming from 2021 to 2022 on practically any stock. Pretty sizable profit. Anyone betting against Palantir, at least on the short-term stock side, has seen some pretty big gains. But I don't consider this analysis, this analyst, very helpful when they don't give a price target. at all. So they've been successful in the past, but I'm not sure that will carry forward given their really horrendous ratings in terms of success overall. And finally, we've got Brett of Jeffries, a 31% success rate, negative 6% return. Another bottom analyst in terms of the ones we've looked at today, unfortunately. Let's scroll down and take a look. See, the problem with him, it seems like, much like Jim Cramer, much like anyone that has a massive portfolio, is they have too many stocks. He's got too many stocks he's looking at. How can you possibly stay up to date on all of these stocks? That's where concentration comes into play. And let's see what he's saying about Palantir. $21 price target, 135% upside in the next 12 months. He's been saying buy, a total of 11 ratings, 20% profitability on those ratings. Unfortunately, much like many of us investors, a negative 24% profit on the stock. You'll see he hasn't issued any notes most recently since February of 2022. So ultimately, I wouldn't put too much weight into what he has to say, especially given his ratings, but he has been on the conference calls previously. So there you have it. These were all of the analysts for Palantir stock. I just want to leave you with a few things. So I attended a conference from the Future Fund on growth investing in this sort of environment. And what you really want to look for is in companies such as Palantir, you want to see top line growth of course, greater than 15% per year. Every 5 years would lead to that compounding to be a doubling every 5 years. We all, of course, we know Palantir's hitting that in terms of growth, and that's why it's richly valued in higher metrics than a slower growing company, as it should be. And positive revision, so that means analysts underestimating the company. We've seen this fairly often in terms of just the quarter-on-quarter growth in terms of their actual revenue. And Q2 may be a pause to that outperformance in terms of the analyst expectations, but it's quite possibly going to continue going forward. Megatrend tailwind, big data, not much to say on this. This video is getting long enough as it is, but Palantir is definitely riding a tailwind. So these are just things you can think about as you go on. It doesn't mean if you check off all these boxes, you should be investing in the stock, but Palantir's TAM is definitely expanding. They've expanded their TAM significantly in all of their product developments they've done over the past 2 years, and are planning to do much more going forward. First mover advantage and moat. We see that definitely in the government space, commercial space. They're trying to gain ground. I guess you could say, I don't think this is as important for Palantir, the moat, definitely in terms of getting into an organization, having a sticky software that grows as the organization expands and does so in a manner that's growth by design, I guess you could say. Experienced, incredible management team. Now, this is an interesting one because it's not that Palantir's management team came from previous experience. Of course, Peter Thiel did. But if you look at Sankar and Alex Karp, this is really their first big company that they're running. And plus a clear path to profitability. That's the biggest one for Palantir. It's still a little ways out. And so I think some of these analysts that we just looked at are almost ignoring it, or more so, it's past the 12 months price target, so they haven't been told to guide for that within the next 12 months, so their price targets can't incorporate that. But a clear path to profitability, especially in this market, is very important. So while Palantir might be a little outside that range of a clear path to profitability, I think we look out 6 to 12 months, we start to see Palantir management guiding for that, and we can start to look forward to that as investors, and the stock can start to reflect some improving fundamentals in that regard. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you appreciated me paying $359 for that analyst coverage. I'll catch you in the next one. Until next time.